With that said, Rob, let us go to the big news last night. We talked about it. Mike McCarthy retained as Dallas head coach. Guys, do we have any sound of McCarthy?
Yeah, we do, Chris.
We do.
We do.
All right, here he had a press conference today, obviously to discuss the news that he would be remaining. And here's what he said.
Why should fans buy back in to you as the head coach of this team?
Yeah, because I believe that the direction, the leadership, everything is in place. And I'm not very comfortable talking about myself, but I came here to win a championship. I didn't come here to get another contract or anything other than that. I came to Dallas to win the world championship, and that's why I'm standing here and buy into us.
No, I'm not buying into you. I wouldn't put 2 cents on Mike McCarthy, Dak Prescott, and the Dallas Cowboys. Chris, I picked them to go to the Super Bowl this year.
You bought into them
I bought in. I want a refund. I got my receipt. I want my money back. Because this is buy into you based off of what? Dak had his best year, Chris. The Cowboys won 16 straight at home.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, really, that it's going to be different next year? Really?
Rob,
Come on.
This was the year. Now,
yes.
I don't know. I mean, this was the year, Rob, at least for them to get to the NFC Championship.
I agree, Chris. That's why I picked them.
It would have been disappointing for those that picked them or wanted them to get to the Super Bowl. But you would have at least been able to say, you know what? They got here for the first time in 28 years.
Right, almost 30 years, Chris.
Philadelphia falls apart, right? You're playing the youngest team in the playoffs since 1974 with a quarterback making his first playoff start. You've got home field advantage, as you said. You won 16 straight and basically demolished almost everybody you played at home.
At home, Chris? It was
right?
a whitewash.
They were great at home. And then the next round, you're probably getting it would have been Detroit,
right?
Which you should beat. I mean, they played you tough at home, obviously, but you would have been favored to beat.
And
Detroit.
then you could have had a chance in the NFC Championship game, maybe with the 49ers or somebody.
Right. If you lose, hey, it is what it is. They were just better, but maybe you would have won. But Rob, you're right. Like if not, Green Bay's only getting better. Niners aren't going anywhere. Detroit's only, I think, gonna get better, Rob. The Rams will probably get a little better. And then somebody else might emerge. Philly might get its act together. Probably will to some degree. So this was the year, Rob.
It was the year, and that's why I would just be like, really, Mike? Buy into you. Everything's in. What's happened? This is not the first time this has happened where you guys laid an egg at home in the playoffs. Like, this is a reoccurring thing. This isn't a bad day at the office. This is the office. I mean, like, what?
It's every day at the office.
It's every day.
Right.
I mean, the woman who was a reporter, we didn't hear the rest. I don't know. I would have followed up, Chris, and just said, I just need, really? Like, why should we buy in? This is what's happened the last few years. You keep winning 12 regular season games. Keep losing at home in these playoff games. You had just won 16 in a row. Your quarterback had been playing as well as he's ever played.
Yep.
What? And not only did you lose, you didn't lose. You got embarrassed. You got humiliated to a team that's only in the playoffs because the NFL wants more playoff TV money from adding more teams. That's the only reason they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, you're right. Like a loss. A heartbreaking, gut-wrenching 1-point loss would have been bad, right? That would have been bad. Like, they wouldn't have escaped that. But to get bludgeoned, to give up the first 27 points?
To look up and be down 27-0 in your own building, a place, Chris, you have dominated.
Yep.
Dominated. Go. I don't know what the margin of victory.
172. 172 points they outscored teams by in 8 games.
In 8 games in Dallas.
Total of 172 points.
I mean,
they were averaging like 35, 36 points at home. I mean, they were a juggernaut, pure and simple. And Rob, here's what, so next year, this is what I think the Cowboys will be. I mean, barring, I actually think they should go get Derrick Henry. I hope they can do that. That'd be fun. But I think, because the question was posed, or it can be posed, Rob, so what will the Cowboys be next year? This is what I think they'll be. I think they'll essentially be what they've been the last 3 years. They might go 12-5 again. They might go 11-6. Heck, Rob, they might go 13-4.
They might.
Right? They'll probably have a really good regular season. But you won't be able to buy into them. Well, now I look at them like I look at the Bills. Like, they got to show me before I really buy in. They're an I'll believe it when I see it team.
Right.
That's what they are now.
Nobody would buy in. Why would you buy into the Cowboys with, Chris, the history, as we brought up with Calvin Watkins from the Dallas Morning News, of the Cowboys and Jerry Jones? Their history's awful. And then Mike McCarthy the last 3 years with winning 12 games and having nothing to show for it. I mean, there's no way. Dak Prescott, he's 2-5. That's not feelings. Those are facts. 2-5, Chris. He's the new Tony Romo. He just is. Put up all the numbers you want. There's nothing. There's no payout, no dividend at the end. There isn't.
Right now, it's hard to argue that. And now, can he change it going forward? Sure. But until he does, people aren't going to buy in.
Right.
He is now going to be viewed as a regular season quarterback.
Until he does something to prove people wrong. But there's no way anybody should buy into anything that the Cowboys are selling.
No. I mean, they're running it back. And, yeah, Rob, it is just incredible that I even think, like, Jerry didn't have to. I mean, why people act like now you either got to make a decision on your coach the day or two after the last game. I mean, you can wait, and I'm not saying it would have changed his mind. It wouldn't have. But you could do a little homework. Why the rush? You really did all that homework in what, 1 or 2 days?
Right.
No, I mean, that tells me you're not looking at it as seriously as you need to be either.
And I don't understand it. I thought he wanted to win a Super Bowl. I thought more than anything, Chris, he wanted to prove that Jerry could win without Jimmy Johnson and the direction that they're leading the team. And instead, there's been nothing. Like, there's been nothing. And I just, after all these years.
Do you still believe that he wants a Super Bowl more than anything?
Yeah, I do. I still believe. I do believe he wants it, but he only wants it his way.
I don't think he wants it more than anything.
No, he wants it his way. He
Right.
wants it. He wants it, Chris, but he wants it his way, and he's not going to do it any other way. And that's why he's in the situation that he's in. And you're staring 30 years in the face, which you would be like, how in the world? There are only 3 teams, Chris, that haven't been into the league championship
that's ridiculous.
game, and it's
Since
like
the Cowboys last were.
It's like the Lions, Cowboys, and the Browns. I think those are the only teams. Think about that.
The Lions should get there.
And the Lions, it looks like it. That it
should.
It's set up.
If they
for them.
don't, it's a colossal failure on their
Oh,
part.
no part. They're
Still
at.
not as big
I'm
as
with
the
you,
Cowboys,
Chris.
but,
They're at home. They got Baker Mayfield in the box.
Yeah.
If they don't win that game, that's on them.
That's a big fail if they don't. It wouldn't be as big as the Cowboys, but
No, but it's a
still,
fail.
It's
right.
huge. I think it's a huge failure if they do that. But Rob, yeah, I mean, look, and Mike McCarthy, we said it last night, he's a good coach. But it's Super Bowl or bust for this team. And Rob, since Mike McCarthy won his Super Bowl 12 years ago, he's been in the playoffs, or 13 years ago, 12 times. He's missed the playoff 3 years, and his record is 6-9 in the playoffs. 4 times, including twice with the Cowboys, he's been eliminated as the higher seed.
Right. This is the pattern. That's why I'm saying this is not a bad day, Chris, where you chalk it up. If it was like when we talked about Brandon Staley. What do we say after that colossal embarrassment? Like they should have made the move.
To be gone.
Right, and what they do? Bring him back anyway. Yep. To convince themselves, I guess. You know what I mean? Yep. And what did it do, Chris? The season fell apart. Same old thing. And that's at some point you can't. And I get it. You can't change coaches every year, but this is not every year. He's been there 3
Been there
years in a
4
row.
years.
Right, and 3
And
years in a
4
row,
years.
12 wins, Chris, and nothing to show for it.
And Rob, it's either ended comically or, embarrassingly.
What was the other
Couple
one when they
years
signed
ago,
up with? I mean,
when they just didn't manage the clock well, right?
and didn't they
with
give
Dak,
the ball in the
and
fourth
then
down?
2 years ago,
Oh,
Ezekiel Elliott had it on at the center position.
right.
And then this year, you just get blasted by a 9-8 team on your own turf. Like, they've been ugly endings, like almost inexplicable endings to these games. And like I said, to me, Rob, Jerry Jones is more concerned with having the microphone in his face, the camera on his person, or focused on his person, and having the attention and the control. And he's not going to bring it like Calvin Watkins was talking about how it was with Parcells. That was a different team. Like, I think Belichick's smart enough, Rob, to know you don't have to come in and rebuild this team.
Right. You don't have. This is not a rebuild.
No. And that's why you meet with somebody.
But he's
and
right
see
about
what he thinks. You can at least meet with him.
He's right about Bill Parcells, but at that time the Cowboys had bottomed out.
They needed
and
a
they
rebuild.
needed a rebuild because I tell you, I still say this, Chris, to this day. The best job Bill Parcells ever did was when he rebuilt the Jets. Remember they were 1-15 with Rich Kotite?
Yep.
2 years later, they were in the AFC Championship game against Denver.
Yep.
2 years later, I mean, that incredible.
He did a really good job with that. Yep. No, it's just, we can't buy in. I don't know who's buying in.